Money is a complicated topic and a massive source of stress for many people. And while it plays such a prominent role in our lives, there is an overall lack of education on how to save, spend, and invest it. Most of us aren't taught these concepts in school, and we are instead forced to learn them on our own. A 2019 report by the Financial Health Network found that only 29% of Americans are financially healthy, with 54% struggling with some aspect of their financial life and 17% struggling with all aspects of their financial lives. When it comes to getting your finances in order, it's common to not even know where to start. In this video, my goal is to give you some ideas on how to do just that. So with that said, let's get started. One of the smartest ways you can use your money, regardless of your current circumstances, is to get rid of all existing credit card debt. When used properly, credit cards can be a great tool to help build your credit and earn additional perks like credit card points and cash rewards. However, for one reason or another, many people find themselves strapped with credit card debt that they just can't seem to get rid of. In January 2020, the average household in the United States had $5,700 in credit card debt, with the average interest rate among these cards around 17.3%. If you were to only make the minimum payments, it would take you 161 months or nearly 13 and a half years to pay off the credit card balance in full. In other words, way too damn long. You would also have paid nearly $9,000 in interest, which is insane considering the original balance of $5,700. Now, it should be clarified that credit card debt does not mean having a credit card balance. As long as you pay off your balance in full each month by the due date, you will not be charged any interest. The only time you start to accrue interest is when the balance is not paid in full by the due date. The portion that you did not pay will carry over into the next month and begin accumulating interest. The best tip that I can give about credit cards is that if you don't have the ability to pay for something in cash, then you should not be putting it on your credit card. Don't think that you'll just be able to pay it off later, or you'll find yourself in a never-ending cycle. Some people even go as far as hiding or cutting up their cards to avoid spending too much. Regardless of how you want to handle it, when it comes to personal finance, credit card debt should be the first place you look when you're trying to improve your financial situation. After paying off your credit card debt, the next smart thing to do is to build an emergency fund. The purpose of this fund is to give you peace of mind and protect you from having to borrow money when unexpected and unusual events happen. Whether you lose your job, are switching careers, or have an unplanned hospital visit, it's important to have something to fall back on. Ideally, you should have at least 3 to 6 months worth of normal living expenses in this account. These include things like your rent or mortgage payment, groceries, insurance, transportation costs, and minimum debt payments. I know this seems a little self-explanatory, but let's dumb it down and do an example. Let's say John pays $1,000 in rent each month. He has a $400 car payment, pays $100 for car insurance, spends $400 on groceries, and $100 on utilities. This comes out to $2,000 per month, so John should have anywhere between $6,000 and $12,000 in his emergency fund. If he's secure in his job, $6,000 should be okay, but if he's looking to change jobs or careers soon, I'd suggest closer to the $12,000 figure. If you're younger, I know this seems like a lot, but over time you should slowly work towards this goal. The place that I recommend putting your emergency fund would be in a high-yield online savings account. The average savings account interest rate is now just 0.09%, however with these accounts you can earn almost 2%. And while these accounts aren't going to make you rich, they are a great low-risk place to put your money in case of an emergency. You also aren't required to keep this money in the account for a specific period of time like you would in a CD. It's important to make sure that whatever account you choose is FDIC insured. Some of the best accounts that I recommend are Betterment, which currently earns 1.83%, Wealthfront, which earns 1.78%, and Discover, which earns 1.6%. The great thing about each of these is that they don't require a minimum balance to open and they have no monthly fees. All you have to do is sign up for an account on their website and you'll be good to go. Links to each of these accounts can be found in the description. Let's roll into the third smart way to manage your money in 2020. Now, if I were to tell you that there's an investment out there that would double your money every single time with no questions asked, you'd probably think I was crazy, right? And while that might be true, that doesn't defer from the fact that this investment does indeed exist out there, and it's called the 401k match. Now, not every employer offers this, but if they do yourself a favor and take it. A 2019 report by Vanguard showed that nearly 1/3 of Americans don't contribute enough to get their full employer match. 1/3 of Americans are denying themselves 100% return on their money. Now, if you're still unsure of what I'm even talking about, do not fret. I will explain this concept in detail. When a company offers a 401k match, this means that they will match the amount that you contribute to your 401k up until a certain percentage. So if your employer matches up to 5% of your salary and you make $50k a year, they will match dollar for dollar up to $2,500 that you contribute to your 401k. The Vanguard report that I mentioned earlier found that employers, on average, match up to 4.3% of their employees' pay. So let's use that figure as an example. Let's say you find yourself a decent little job with a decent little company that offers a 401k match up to 4.3% of your contribution. You make $50K a year. You decide that 100% return is probably better than investing in your Aunt Lisa's pyramid scheme, so you choose to contribute 4.3% of your salary to your 401k. This comes out to $2,150 contributed over the course of 1 year. In this scenario, your company would also contribute $2,150. If you only contributed $500, your company would contribute $500. If you put in $1,000, you guessed it, your company would also put in $1,000. Your company would only stop matching on any dollar amounts over $2,150 or 4.3% of your pay. Remember though, this match figure is a percentage of your salary, so if you got a raise and now made $60K, the company would now match up to $2,580 or 4.3% of your new salary. Let's take a little dive into the world of compound interest to show why you should even care about this. For the sake of simplicity, we're going to use that same example from before and say you made $50K per year. For whatever reason, you just weren't that great at your job and had no raises for your entire 40-year career. In scenario A, you decide that you want to put 3% of your salary or $1,500 into your 401k each year. Your company matches this amount since they match up to 4.3% of your pay. In scenario B, you instead choose to contribute up to the full employer match and put in 4.3% of your salary or $2,150 each year. Your company then matches the same amount. In order to figure out how much money you will have in each scenario, let's assume that you get the historical average stock market return before inflation, which is around 10%. In the first scenario, after 40 years, you would have put in a total of $60,000, your company would also have put in $60,000, and your 401k balance would be $1,398,652. Not bad for only investing $60,000 of your own money, right? Well, listen up, because it's going to get even better. In the second scenario, at the end of 40 years, you would have put in $86,000 and your company would also have put in $86,000. What do you think you'd have after 40 years? 1.5, 1.6, 1.7? You'd actually find yourself in multi-millionaire status with just over $2 million at $2,004,772. That's $606,120 more than the first scenario, and all you had to do was invest another $26,000. So with a 401k match, not only are you theoretically doubling your money, but you're also allowing that money to grow over time with the power of compound interest. The most important thing to do after this video is to hit that like button and subscribe, but after that, go see if your company offers a 401k match, and if they do, make sure that you're contributing enough to get the full match. So after you've paid off your credit card debt, got yourself a decent sized emergency fund, and are contributing enough to get the full 401k match, the next thing you can focus on is to pay off your consumer debt. Examples of this include car loans, student loans, and mortgage loans. Although credit cards are technically consumer debt, I'm not including them in this category because they have such high interest rates and should be paid off before you start to focus on any other types of debt. I'm also suggesting that most debt, besides maybe your mortgage, should be paid off before investing any more money into the stock market, because when you pay off debt, you're getting an immediate return on your money. And while you should make more money in the long run by investing, there are no guarantees that the market will continue to rise, and if you're holding on to a bunch of debt when the economy tanks, you might find yourself struggling to stay above water and make the monthly payments. It's much easier to face a recession when you don't have any debt weighing you down. Now, when it comes to paying off consumer debt, or any debt in general, there are typically two different ways of going about it. The first is the snowball method, and the second is the avalanche method. Let me explain what these are and the pros and cons of each. Let's start with the snowball method. If you've ever listened to Dave Ramsey's advice, you know that this is his preferred way of paying off debt. In this method, you pay off your debts from the smallest balance to the largest balance, regardless of the interest rate. So the first thing to do would be to write out a list of all your debts. Let's say that you have a $10,000 car loan, a $7,000 car loan, $40,000 in student loans, and a $100,000 mortgage. You would make the minimum monthly payments on each loan, but you would use all your extra cash towards the $7,000 car loan. Once that loan is paid off, you would move on to the $10,000 car loan. After that, the focus would be on the student loans, and then finally, the mortgage loan. The thought process behind the snowball method is that by paying off your smallest debts first, you start picking up momentum and gain confidence about paying off debt. It can be extremely satisfying to see yourself make progress, and when you're experiencing this success, you'll be more likely to continue the habit of paying off the rest of your debt. The downside to this method is that you'll end up taking a little bit longer to pay off the debt and just pay a little bit more in interest. Now let's take a look at the avalanche method. With this strategy, you're going to pay off your debts in order from the highest interest rate to the lowest. Let's use the same loans from the previous method. Say the first car loan had 4.5% interest, the second one 4.2%, the student loan 6%, and the mortgage loan 3.5%. In this case, you would make the minimum monthly payment on each loan, but all extra cash towards the student loans until they are paid off in full. After that, you move on to the first car loan, followed by the second one, and then finally, the mortgage. The main benefit from the avalanche method is that you'll end up paying off the debt quicker and pay less interest than the snowball method. The only real drawback for this is that it might take a little bit longer to pay off that first debt and build momentum. So which method should you choose? Honestly, I would say that it all just comes down to personal preference. If you're the type of person that gets easily overwhelmed by debt, likes to see consistent progress and small wins, then I would choose the snowball method. If you're less stressed about debt and you just want to pay it off in the quickest and most efficient way possible, then I would go with the avalanche method. Remember though, it doesn't really matter which method you choose. The most important thing is that you actually pick a method and stay consistent with it. So with that, let's move to the next best way to manage your money. No personal finance video would be complete without talking about the fifth smart way to manage your money in 2020, which is to contribute to a Roth IRA. This is one of the first accounts that you should open if you have not already and want to begin investing outside your 401k. Most brokerages offer the option of opening a Roth IRA. Some of the best brokerages include Vanguard, which has the lowest fees, or beginner-friendly brokerages like Fidelity and Betterment that provide portfolio allocation recommendations based on your age. Links to open Roth IRAs at each of these brokerages will be in the description. Keep in mind, a Roth IRA is simply an investment account. You can put money into this account, but it will not grow until you actually select investment options within that account. So after giving you some recommendations for where to open these accounts, I should probably get into the benefits of these accounts and what makes them so attractive. To put it simply, a Roth IRA is one of the best places you can put your money to save for retirement. You make contributions to this account after paying income taxes on it, but your account will continue to grow tax-free. When you decide to retire, you will not have to pay taxes on any withdrawals that you make. This advantage makes the Roth IRA particularly appealing to people early in their career, as they tend to make less money now but will climb into a higher tax bracket over time. With the Roth IRA, you can pay low income taxes now at the beginning of your career and let that money grow without worrying about paying higher taxes on withdrawals in the future. Let's move into the requirements of the Roth IRA. Now, I don't know about you, but my parents always told me that if something sounds too good to be true, then it probably is, and there are some limits to the Roth IRA. For starters, you must wait until age 59 and a half and not a damn day sooner to be able to make withdrawals from your account without taking the penalty. You also must have owned the account for more than 5 years. To make things simple, you will fall into one of 4 different categories to determine what your withdrawals will cost you. The first is if you are older than 59 and a half and have owned the account for more than 5 years. The second is older than 59 and a half and owning the account less than 5 years. The third, younger than 59 and owning the account more than 5 years. And the fourth and final one is younger than 59 and a half and owning the account for less than 5 years. I know, that was a lot to digest. In the first category, you can make withdrawals tax-free and penalty-free. In the second category, you'll have to pay income tax on any earnings or profit made, but there will not be an early withdrawal penalty. In the third category, you'll typically owe income taxes and a 10% early withdrawal penalty on the earnings or profit that you withdraw. There are a few exemptions, however, that allow you to avoid both the income taxes and penalty, like a first home purchase or a disability. In the fourth category, you'll typically owe income taxes and a 10% early withdrawal penalty on the earnings or profit that you withdraw. You can avoid the 10% penalty with exemptions like a first home purchase or education expenses, but you'll still owe income taxes. At this point, you might be wondering if there's a limit to how much you can contribute each year, and to put it simply, yes. In 2020, the most you can contribute in 1 year is $6,000. If you're older than 50, you can contribute $7,000. Keep in mind that these limits are for people who file single on their tax returns as well as those who are married. So if you're married, the limit for your total household is $6,000 if under 50 years old, or $7,000 if over 50 years old. It's also worth noting that if you file single, you can only contribute to a Roth IRA if you make less than $124,000 in annual gross income. As so eloquently described by Notorious B.I.G., mo money, mo problems. So what exactly can you expect from your Roth IRA? If you make annual contributions of $6,000, which is $500 per month, $115 per week, and just over $16 a day, after 40 years and a 10% average return, you would have $2,921,111. That's right, for just $16 a day, you can have almost $3 million in 40 years. If that doesn't inspire you to go open a Roth IRA, I'm not sure what will. Now, if you don't have that much money to invest, remember that any amount is better than no amount. Even if you just invested $50 a month, after 40 years of growth, you'd still have $292,111. So get out there and open that account. Well, I hope this video helped at least one person feel just a little bit less lost about managing their money. If it helped you in any way, then hit that like button and let me know in the comments what the biggest takeaway was for you. If you enjoy these types of videos, please subscribe to the channel as I'll be posting more. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.